Where are all my friends? You're probably starting to wonder that. We all had friends when we were in grade school, college, and beyond for a while. And then life started to change. We got in the workplace, and then all of a sudden, a lot of our coworkers seemed to be friends. Those are the people we spend 8 to 10 hours a day with. But guess what? There's friends a lot closer than you think. Because even while you look around and you think, where did all my friends go? A lot of us retire, and a lot of those people that we considered friends at work are pretty much all gone. So where did they all go? Can I find new friends? Where are those friends? I mean, I've talked about this in other videos. I'll share the link at the end. It's a very popular video that a lot of you really love because it hits close to home. The conversation about friendship and coworkers being toxic and not necessarily your friends, and this sort of illusion that friendship brings something that we all crave. But we do. A lot of people do crave, having people around us, having people with similar interests and attitudes and perspectives. Having that friend next to us is something that a lot of us value. But there is a reality. Those people you work with, they're not your friends. So where did all those friends go? And a lot of us find ourselves flailing through life after we focus far too much at work, far too much, in our day-to-day lives, raising young families, making a life, with a spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, moving on up, and realizing after all of those efforts, a lot of the friends that we once knew are pretty much gone. But why does that happen? Well, because lives change. Our focuses in life shift, new perspective, new attitudes, and honestly, our priorities just do shift and alter dramatically. We go from a place of, sort of free lifestyle where every day's a laugh and a new experience and a new journey, to now all of a sudden, life's serious. You meet people, of course, you meet your spouse, you're dating. Next thing you know, you buy a house, you build a family, you're buying a house, take out mortgage, you're paying bills and taxes. Life's starting to get real. And this is just something a lot of us just can't get over. But there is a reality that once you grow up, these friends that we once thought we had are all but pretty much gone. And I'll be honest, I've had numerous friends throughout my life. And, as you really pick through that and you really can decipher, the ones that are truly your friends are the ones that have got your back time and time and time again. But as you also realize, if you're under this illusion that you're working and a lot of those people are your friends, well, you're likely disillusioned. Because at the drop of a hat or the shift of a promotion or the promise of an improvement to somebody else's career, not necessarily your own, you'll find quickly people change in attitude. Undermining, backstabbing are all traits that people you share the workplace with are and perform. Because ultimately, let's be honest, we're all there to trade time for money. And a lot of people, they can be friendly at work, but they're not your friends. And that's a lot of us, we get caught up in this misinterpretation of what friendship is. Okay, great. We sail through life and we've built this life and this career, and life's getting serious. And that's what I found. Life does get serious. Things change, attitudes, perspectives, the job front. And then you start to wonder, where did all those friends go? But believe it or not, for the friendship conversation is one that's very complex, but it's yet so simple. A lot of us get hung up on titles, a title called friend. This person is my friend, that person is my friend. And, a lot of us just want to have that tag. A lot of people want to be tagged, and a lot of people want to tag others and say, this is my friend, this is my girlfriend, these tags are something that get people hung up. And tags are fine. It's a quick reference, and not everybody, if you want to name somebody or you want to drop a tag and call them, this is my friend, this is my electrician, this is my plumber, this is my mechanic. A lot of times people drop tags like that just as a quick reference point to sort of identify what they mean to a person. It's not necessarily what they are. See, this is my friend, but you don't say that they're the president or CEO of an organization. You say this is their friend. You don't necessarily call people out for their profession. You call them out what they mean to you personally. Unless, of course, they are just your electrician or they are just a CEO, in which case, then you've prioritized your relationship. It's no longer a relationship of friendship. You might assume somebody's your friend, but the first drop of a hat when somebody's getting introduced in a circle of people, and the first thing out of their mouth is, oh, this is my electrician, Mark. the first thing you know is they see you as an electrician first and maybe a friend further down that list. See, this is a differentiation a lot of us just don't make, and we assume that, people that quite often were quote unquote friends for years really aren't our friends at all. In fact, a lot of them utilize us and leverage us for things that we bring and enrich in their lives. And a lot of people utilize us as a means to an end, or a way to utilize our services, our abilities, our skills, our knowledge to enrich in their lives, make their lives a little bit better. See, ultimately, we sometimes just get caught up in the assumption just because these people want to be around us, we assume that they're our friends. See, a lot of times there's these misinterpretations we feel after the fact, once the dust settles, once we see that conversation where somebody was introducing you as their electrician or as their plumber, well, then you quickly realize that maybe they weren't your friends in the first place. But we know that once you get through your career, and now, a lot of us, eventually we move on. We're done with our careers. We transition into retirement, some of us. Many of us work forever pretty much. But as we age, we start to put more stock in the people that are much more meaningful. Real friendship, real relationships. And those superficial conversations and superficial people just don't seem to have the same impact anymore in our lives. That's why a lot of us, as we get older, quite often just sort of let those sort of relationships die off. And there was a time when maybe you were in your grade school or you were in college and you saw people like this as friends. Even if they were superficial, you tagged them as friends. When you're going through high school, a lot of times you say, hey, I've got 20 friends, I've got 30 friends, and that seemed to matter to people. Popularity contests sort of matter to people when they're younger. But I can tell you, most of those relationships never matter all that much, because if you really think back today, if you're in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, and you think back, how many friends did I have back in high school? You could probably count maybe a handful, 2 handfuls, 3, 4 handfuls of friends. And then all of a sudden you start to think, wow, I had all these friends. Where did they all go? Well, the fact is, many of them weren't even friends. They were just cohorts. They were people, peers, just like your workplace buddies. You think they're your friends until they're not, and they prove otherwise. But what I've realized more as I've aged and I've gotten on with life, and even more so now in retirement, a lot of us, you will probably see that my friends are a lot closer to me than I ever imagined. And I've always made these assumptions. They've always been the most important priority in my life. So what's changed? Well, really nothing. See, because my family, in fact, are proof time and time and time again that those are the friends that matter. Now we have, yes, non-related people in our lives. If you have 1 or 2 good friends that are actually worth keeping around, that maybe you'll meet up for coffee once in a while, that you enjoy talking shop, maybe have similar interests, and you're very relatable, and nobody's in it for themselves. They're there to help out if need be. They're willing to offer a helping hand. And it's clear that there are people that you can enjoy as a friend that aren't necessarily related to you. But if you truly have 1 or 2, maybe 3 quality friends in your life as we age, consider yourself lucky, because many people just don't. And there is a reality that, as we age, you'll start to figure this out. And the people that you consider more of your friends are the ones that are actually much, much closer to you than you ever imagined. See, I start thinking back. I've got 4 beautiful children. I've got an amazing, beautiful wife. And I think I am literally the luckiest person on the planet. You know what? Here's the beauty. They all represent a form of friendship in their own way. Now, of course, I consider my wife, my spouse, my best friend. We do everything together, and I'll get more of that together here in a short bit. But I think even my relationships with each one of my kids is unique. It's different. just like friendships. You know, you might have a relationship with this person, and you might have a certain thing you like to talk about, or you manage to deal with, or maybe you like to do together. Maybe you like to golf with that person. You might have another friend that you like to go to the chess club with. I mean, I'm giving you an example. You might have yet another friend that's sort of related more to work or business, and they're more focused and they're professional and they're on time and they're hardworking. And that person, you might be a little bit more focused to talk a bit more shop and business, and there might be, you know, these different perspectives, and each one brings something a little bit unique to the table. Well, see, that's kind of how it is with my family, my kids. You see, I think about this. You know, I've got 4 great kids, and each one sort of has a unique take on life. Each one has a unique, I would say, relationship with me. And, you know, well, one of them, you know, I spent a lot of time, you know, with, has helped me a lot around, you know, say doing yard work, housework, is always with me to do physical, you know, work. And, you know, we hang out quite a bit. We do sports together, and, you know, we've golfed together. We do a lot of things together. And that is one of my best friends. I have another young one that likes to get into current events and likes to talk about, you know, a little bit about politics and life in general, and just kind of life as we see it. And we'll go out for grab the odd coffee from time to time and have some really good heart-to-heart chats. Then I have another one that's very, very unique, that really has a strong passion for cars and those types of assets, because they have a passion for interesting, cool cars. They're automotive enthusiasts too, as it were, which, of course, many of you who know that I am, that's exactly what I love to do on the side. And one more of my young ones, we like to have more of those heart-to-heart. We find ourselves constantly having these debates about all kinds of, you know, life, and it's just really more of a relationship on, you know, this great debates and conversations and things that make us each tick and kind of challenge each other in a lot of our own notions and assumptions. And it's a great, you know, relationship in that sense, that we're constantly challenging each other. And that's an absolute great place to be, and a great relationship to have, because it keeps both of us on our toes regularly. And so ultimately, each one has a unique perspective and a unique relationship. And that's what makes it also very, very interesting. You see, if each one was identical, well, I mean, we'd probably all get along just fine in one big group. But every relationship is very, very different and unique. And I cherish each and every one in their own unique way. And that's very much like a friendship. A friendship is something that, you know, brings people together in a unique way. But it's also a way that friendship is also as not just a title, but a trait that you've always got each other's back. You're always there to support. And when stuff gets real, and, you know, in times of need, you can trust a good friend. And I know each and every one of my young ones, I can trust them with my life. And I would certainly do anything for each and every one of them. Then, of course, my spouse, my wife, my better half, you know what? The one that keeps me moving in the right direction. Absolutely beautiful person. And we do everything together. And see, spending time, we enjoy traveling, golfing, chit-chat, talk about current events, go for cruises, drives on Saturday nights, go grab a dinner when it's feeling right. You know, it's your classic marriage that has great traits that, you know, we're always going to be there to support each other and back each other up in times of need and otherwise. And this all brings to mind the conversation that, you know, friendships, while we're a lot of times out there looking for friends, quite often these friends are a lot closer than you expect. Sometimes your friends are right in the same house. And surprisingly, a lot of people are taken by surprise the fact while they're out there looking, hunting, wondering, scratching their heads about where did all my friends go? Guess what? Many of you have friends right in your own homes. That's right, it's a shocking revelation. But as we age, we realize many people are just in it for themselves. But many people just have busy lives like we all do. And so to find a good quality friend is hard to do. Now there are the odd one. And as I've said, if you have one or two, good friends that you meet up regularly for maybe a cup of coffee or, a chit chat, or maybe talk about cars or your favorite hobby, and they'll help you out and you help them out. And that's just something that's how you treat each other. That's a great friendship to have. But there's also a lot of people that don't have that type of friendship. They don't have that type of relationship. They don't have people like that in their lives. Conversely, some of them have spouses. Some of them have boyfriends, girlfriends. Some of them have kids. And believe it or not, those are amazing friends. Why? You spend time with them. Many of your interests are very much the same. You would do anything for them. See, all of these traits that I just pointed out sound an awful lot like the descriptors when you search up in the encyclopedia about what a friendship is. That's right, your family. They're some of the best friends you'll ever have. Now, there are family, I don't want to, look at everything with rose-colored glasses, because there are family relationships that are bad and toxic, and we know that. But this doesn't change. What changes the fact that toxic people, whether they're friends, coworkers, and I hate to say it, even some family members, if they're toxic, that's probably the best signal to maybe consider doing your own thing, and it's hard. It's hard to sort of make that decision, but toxic people in your life aren't always the best for your soul, and quite often are stressful and create other challenges or problems in your life. So it's not always that rosy, and not everybody has these perfect home style lifestyles with, family and spouse and kids. There are a lot of problems. There's a lot of social problems, socio-economic issues these days. There's a lot of challenges in life. There's lots more added stress in the household, especially with the cost of living and all kinds of other challenges out there these days. But generally, as a rule, most families will have each other's back. And from my perspective, to me, that is the ultimate friend. And so if you ask yourself the question, where did all my friends go? I'm just going to say, they might be just a little bit closer than you even realize. Hope to see each and every one of you real soon, everybody. Don't forget to check out that video as well about where did all your friends go. You're going to want to check that video out. It's going to share the whole storyline. Hope to see each and every one of you real soon. See you then. Bye-bye.